Hi, everyone. This is Mika Chang, Executive Director of Baltimore, the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum, as well as the administrator for the Saturday Visitor Awards. I don't know where you guys are tonight, but here in Baltimore, we're having a little bit of internet trouble with our service this evening. So I'm working from a hotspot. We're going to try to continue and proceed with the planned program this evening. But if things are a little too wonky, or if I continue to get kind of notices that internet is being weird, we're really going to try to reschedule this session, give everybody an opportunity to ask those last minute questions. This is the last session before the call for entries ends for the 2022 Saturday Visitor Awards. Thank you, though, for being with us today. Thank you in advance for your patience. I'm seeing a little bit of a delay here, unfortunately. All right, here we go. We are here to talk about the Saturday Visitor Awards. Any last minute questions from any of our prospective entrants this year for the Saturday Visitor Awards? A new honor to recognize a generation of artists and writers inspired by Edgar Allan Poe. And again, I'm seeing these internet problems persist. If anybody has any trouble, just let me know in the comments. We're going to try to we'll try to reschedule if there's any trouble. But tonight, we are going to be talking again, last minute tips and tricks for folks that have not yet entered, or if you have some questions, you've already entered your work and you just have some questions about the judging process or questions about when you're going to get word, we can let everybody know what to expect this year. Now, Poe Baltimore is a nonprofit organization created to fund, maintain, and interpret the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum in beautiful Baltimore, Maryland. We keep Poe's chamber door open to visitors both in person and here online. The second part of our mission, really, to celebrate Edgar Allan Poe's legacy here in Baltimore and beyond. Share with people the outsized impact that Poe has had on popular culture, and again, celebrate Poe's legacy as we continue to see works inspired by Poe, continue to see adaptations of Poe's works, and award and recognize the very, very best in popular culture. A plug for Poe House de rigueur, of course. Edgar Allan Poe House Museum, open to visitors in person every Thursday through Sunday, 11 to 4 p.m. Let's see if my slide actually shows up here. There we are. Open every Thursday through Sunday, 11 to 4. Now, we are open on a reservation-only basis at this time. So please visit our website to get those tickets. They do tend to sell out quickly, especially as we get into the more touristy months. April is officially the beginning of our season, and we're well into it here now in May. So please visit our website to learn more about how you can, in fact, visit Poe House. And of course, we still have COVID restrictions going on, still requiring masks, that kind of thing. If you have any questions about that, that's where you want to visit, poebaltimore.org. So again, tonight we will be talking about the Saturday Visitor Awards. And once again, if internet is wanting to see a little bit of trouble here, we need to reschedule this if anybody has any trouble in the videos. But tonight I do have a special presentation for you, our guest of honor and presenter at the 2022 Saturday Visitor Awards this year. We have an interview with Lynn Cullen. She is the best-selling author of Mrs. Poe. If you haven't had an opportunity to read this novel, came out a few years ago, but absolutely fascinating. And especially this is the 200th birthday this year, bicentennial for Virginia Poe. So a novel about Mrs. Poe, definitely worth everyone's while. So definitely check that out. But excited to share this interview with you this evening. It's about 12 minutes. You'll get to see and hear from Lynn Cullen, another creator inspired by Poe and the genesis of her novel. And then I'll stay behind a little afterwards to answer any questions folks have, any last minute questions or any last minute advice you might need before our portal closes to the Saturday Visitor Awards this coming Monday. So without further ado, I'll start this video and queue up your questions. Send them to me so we'll be ready to answer them in a little bit. Here with Lynn Cullen, author of Mrs. Poe, and Lynn has very generously accepted our invitation to be guest of honor and presenter at this year's 2022 Saturday Visitor Awards at the official party of the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival, the Black Cat Ball at Westminster Hall. Thank you so very much for joining me this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
And where are you? You're in Atlanta?
Yes.
Not too difficult a trip from to Baltimore. We're really looking forward to hosting you here. Well, I'm sure you're asked pretty often about the genesis of your novel, but it's a wonderful book, and I encourage anybody out there who has not yet picked it up. Absolutely fascinating. Please tell us about Mrs. Poe and how you were inspired by Edgar Allan Poe.
Well, my story is a different one, and I imagine stories having to do with Poe are oftentimes unusual. But I was not a Poe scholar. I didn't know anything more about Poe than your average high school student when this book came to me. And this book came to me, Mrs. Poe came to me under duress. This was back in maybe 2010. 2011, my husband had gotten encephalitis, and he was unemployed. This is during that big recession. I myself was sort of between books, and so it was really bad timing for him to get encephalitis, and it knocked him. He was in the hospital for about a week. He was unconscious for 2 days, and when he came out, they didn't know, how bad of a brain injury he'd have. Well, it turned out he could no longer read. He could barely follow a finger. Like, you see this in the medical shows, and they're testing some accident victim. If they could follow that, I always thought, what malarkey? Who can't do that? Well, my husband couldn't. He couldn't spell the most simple word backward, like cat or dog or it or whatever. It's all a matter of his attention span. He could not stay focused more than a nanosecond. So I brought him home from the hospital, got him in bed. I was exhausted and terrified because I didn't know how I was going to keep our family together, how I was going to support us. And so I was in this very office right here, and I was marching back and forth in front of these books thinking, how am I going to, what book am I going to write? How am I going to save us? And Poe popped in my head, which is really strange because, again, I was not a Poe expert. I had hardly read anything beyond high school, but I just resonated, Poe. And so I ran to my computer, looked him up, and I thought, I kind of like that he's a underdog. I love writing about underdogs, but I tend to like to write about women underdogs. Those are my favorite underdogs. So I thought, well, I like him, but what about the women in his life? I didn't see much about Virginia, known about her, but I did notice that in 1845, the year of Raven, he went from having everything, how the Raven brought him the fame he so craved. He needed the love that writing books and being accepted as a great writer would bring to him. So here he was riding high. He was the darling of New York's literary circles. They were doing plays about the Raven. Kids followed him on the streets, pretending like they were ravens, cawing and flapping their arms. But he lost it all in 1 year's time. In 1 year's time, he had moved to what is now the Bronx and was in that tiny, tiny little Poe cottage and was kicked out of the literary circles in New York. And I thought, what happened in that 1 year's time? And I read about Frances Osgood and about their purported affair. And so I looked into her and I read that she was a writer at the time, there weren't all that many women writers. Hardly anybody made money at writing. Poe himself hardly made any at writing. And here she was trying to support her family because her husband had left her. He was a painter, a portrait painter, and he was always abandoning her, leaving her to her own devices. So she was trying to support herself with her writing, herself and her two daughters. And when I read about her struggle to support herself, just my skin tingled. I thought, I know you. And I just threw myself into writing that book, and it came pretty quickly. But I had to, go to New York a lot. My story from 1845 is mostly in New York, because that's where Poe lived at the time of the Raven and all. So it all came together, and all these little details just kept falling in my lap. The whole experience was so magical. And to this day, I just so love talking about Poe. So it all came to me, in a time of great need. And it turned out changing my life. It was a turning point in my writing career. And so I'm very grateful to Poe. And I should tell you, because oftentimes I forget to tell people, my husband is okay. It took him a couple of years, actually, but he started out, I remember he was bedbound because he had another infection from the hospital. And he said, "Lynn, do you have anything I could read?" And I remember thinking, oh gosh, he can't even read, but okay. And as a novelist, I have lots of novels. And so I just gave him various novels that I had. And he would start to talk about them. He talked about the characters, about the ending. And I thought, he's really reading. And reading is what put his brain together. So books have been, the magic in my life all along.
I think as a fellow reader, as a fellow lover of books, it does not shock me that reading would save someone's life and really bring you back all of that. And then especially Poe. That was very,
Yes.
very fitting.
Yes, I can't believe the magic of Poe, the healing magic of Poe, which you wouldn't think. But
you imagine it would be the opposite way. Well, you mentioned sort of the strangeness that you're an excellent company. That is certainly our experience at Poe House, people who've dedicated our careers to this. And so I feel that deeply and identify with that deeply. So
I have to tell you something funny about the strangeness. I go to a lot of book clubs in people's homes, or, whatever, halls, different speaking places, whatever. And almost every time there's some kind of glitch, like some electrical thing won't work, lights or something, things will fall off the wall. So that never scared me. And it made me chuckle how every time I had an appearance, something, just a little off happened. And it's always a great laugh, like when a picture would fall down off the wall. There's Poe.
He was following you. You were bringing it with you.
Yeah. I mean,
I love that.
I don't truly believe that, but it was a very bizarre coincidence.
In other discussions we've had in preparation for this year, you and I have discussed the power of Poe, how passionate readers and fans are about this iconic figure. Do you have any fun stories? What has been the reaction from the Poe world to your novel, barring the poltergeist that you seem to bring with you in your reading?
Well, I had no idea, since I wasn't a Poe scholar, just how tight the Poe world is and how people love Poe. I stole a little of his magic for my book, and it, catapulted my career into a bigger place, just to connect with Poe, because people love him. And that's why they would pick up my book just to learn more about him. But yes, I had an event just a week ago, and the woman there was just saying how much she loves Poe. I mean, almost everybody who comes up to talks to me about my book first tells me how much they love Poe. And it's fun to be part of this love for Poe. And to examine him was really interesting too, because the person that they're in love with, I contend is really different than the real man. And that was fun for me to research. And I can't wait to talk to scholars and things when I'm in Baltimore more about it. I always enjoy talking to people who have really made a life study of Poe, because I think he's not at all like the common thought of him. So, in the long run, the joke is on Griswold and painting him like this, because I think people enjoy thinking of him as this dark and scary guy. It did not hurt his reputation in the long run. It made him. So that's so ironic, I think.
You will be our guest of honor and presenter at the Saturday Visitor Awards this October, in honor recognizing a new generation of artists and writers inspired by Poe. And obviously, your work is a perfect embodiment of what we wish to recognize in this new generation of creators. So, is there anything you especially enjoy about adaptations or original works inspired by Poe?
I do really love the research. So I can't predict what the next work would be, but there's so much about him that's unexplored, because we have gotten so hung up on this viewpoint of him as this dark and scary guy out of his novels. And I think the more that we know about him, the more fascinating.
Lynn Cullen for sitting down with me to talk about her novel, Mrs. Poe, and her work. And again, she will be our guest of honor this October, our presenter at the Saturday Visitor Awards at the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival on October 8th and 9th. Now, people who are entering works for the Saturday Visitor Awards, if they become official nominees, they will be invited to be vendors, put their work on display for festival goers and attendees that weekend in October, Death Weekend, commemorating the 173rd anniversary of Edgar Allan Poe's passing here in Baltimore. And of course, Poe lives here now because he is buried here. And so you can come to Poe House, see that last home in the city where Poe and his family are known to have lived. You can see 2 days of books, music, and art celebrating all things Poe, and not very far away. And even if you join one of our tours, visit Westminster Hall and Burial Ground, see Poe himself, and Virginia, another members of the Poe family who are buried there. Now, the Saturday Visitor Awards will be presented at the official party of the festival, the Black Cat Ball at Westminster Hall. Save the date, Saturday, October 8th. Tickets for the ball are not yet on sale. They'll go on sale July 1. But if you guys getting excited, this year is Gothic Wedding themed in honor of Virginia Poe's 200th birthday. Now, if you did enjoy that excerpt of our interview with Lynn Cullen, we will be showing more of that interview for the Virginia Poe Bicentennial. We here on Facebook and on YouTube, you'll see an automatic notice. If you subscribe to our pages, you'll see automatic notices about going live, and you'll be able to see the rest of that really great, just wonderful interview that we had with Lynn Cullen, and hear more about her, what moves her and Poe and the relationship, as well as a lot of the controversy that she sort of explores in her novel. But if you're interested in learning more about Virginia Poe, if you're interested in learning more about Lynn Cullen, keep an eye out for our next live video in the Virginia Poe Bicentennial Discussion Series and our series of graveside chats to promote those sessions. Now, I understand that we are having a little bit of connectivity issues this evening. If that video was pixelated for you, I'm hearing from a few people that it might have been pixelated. We will upload that segment of the video to our Facebook page and on YouTube, so you can see it in a little better quality if it was a little bit pixelated there. But now we'll move on to live Q&A. If you have any questions about entries that you might be preparing for before Monday's deadline, now's the time to send those questions my way here online, or I'll share with you a website and an email address to get a hold of me. But dates to remember: January 19th was our call for entries. Long gone, long gone, not very far away from May 30th, our deadline to enter. Now, our form will close at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So that portal is going to just slam down, shut down on your fingers at 11:59. So try to get your entries in. Use this weekend to get those entries in as soon as possible. Now, if all goes well, the ballots will be turned over to the judges, and if they're moving through things on time, then July 30th is when we announce the official nominees. All of our entrants will be notified whether or not they are selected, but our nominees will also be notified, and at that time they'll be invited to attend the festival in October and display their wonderful work. And of course, the festival is October 8th and 9th, Poe Fest International here in Baltimore, Maryland. Now, for all things Saturday Visitor Awards, any information that we share tonight, you can also find on our website, SaturdayVisitorAwards.org. You can there see our entry guidelines, even download the PDF. You can even download a sample of the form, so that there are no surprises. You can download sample forms. You can get everything ready and be ready to enter your information for your piece. There are also some frequently asked questions, other information that might help you out. But what do I like to say? If there's a question, there's no question. Send us an email. If you have a specific question about your entry this weekend, I'm ready to answer those questions, help you out. You're not going to spoil anything. I'm not one of the judges. I'm here to help you get those, perform triage on your entry and make sure it goes to the right place. So if you have any questions, don't sweat it. Send me an email and I'll try to get back to you as quickly as possible so that you can submit your entry on time. Now, the only thing I request, please do not send any questions. Don't send us private messages on Facebook or DMs on Twitter, that kind of thing. The best place, if you have any questions, is to visit our website. Now, I'm online right now for the next, 10, 15 minutes, just in case there are questions. So send those in the comments now, but after we close this evening, send your questions via email. I'm very happy to help you out. And I promise, again, you're not ruining anything, or ruining any surprises. This is the person you want to contact. I'm the person you want to contact to help you out, get that entry ready for the judges. All right. So Saturday Visitor Awards are presented in two categories. We talked a little bit about that with Lynn Cullen: adaptations of Poe's life or works, as well as original works inspired by Poe. I'm going to try to share our guidelines video with everyone now, as ever. Nope, those internet gremlins are not going to let us get that through. All right, I will do my very best to talk about the categories for you here, and we'll post some helpful information a little bit later, and perhaps even reschedule this session. So adaptations of Poe's life or works can include portraiture, biography. Biography fits here because of the narrative nature of biography. Most biographies you read, they tell a story. So even if it's a straight up biography of Poe or someone in Poe's life, the narrative nature of biography, that's why fits in adaptations of Poe's life or works. Now, we are looking for creative works inspired, adapting Poe. So the Saturday Visitor Awards are not for academic criticism, university papers, this kind of thing. No dissertations, not going to read the dissertations. So, but the SVAs are intended to recognize artistic works, creative works. So do keep that in mind. We are a festival, not a conference. Film, dramatic adaptation, more of the direct what you'd expect from an adaptation of Poe's life or work, even if it's set in a different time. If the work is primarily based on Poe's writing, on his actual words, or some of his people in his life, that kind of thing, this is where adaptation, this is the category for you. Now, original works inspired by Poe. We know that all of these works are creative, of course, but original works inspired by Poe, using Poe as a character in film, novels, or play. Mrs. Poe as a novel would have fallen in the original works category, an honorary Saturday visitor. Poe's life as character in film, novel, or play. Sequels or prequels are basis, or any other basis for original story, either using Poe or inspired by one of Poe's stories or poems, would fall in the original works category. And original poetry, your own words, original poetry riffing on Poe, would follow here. Now, a word of warning about the categories, because again, all of these works are creative. We understand that this might be a little bit confusing. If there's a question, there's no question, get a hold of me and I can help you guide you to the correct category. But even if the judges, for instance, disagree and find that the work should have, they feel, the judges panel feels that the work would be better served in another category, there is no penalty. So this should not be, any confusion about this should not be, just should not stand in your way for entering your work. Feel comfortable getting a hold of us here, but if you submit your work without contacting us, if your work is kicked over to another category, you will be notified, but you will not be penalized. And so we don't want anybody to sweat over that. Now, a little bit different this year than in previous years, you must choose. You can only submit one work per category, so maximum of 2 pieces and 1 in each category. This is different than in previous years. We are not allowing more than 1 entry from a group in any one of the categories. So kill your darlings, choose your best work. Eligibility is on a rolling basis. I'll talk about that in just a second, but it's important to remember that if you've got more than 1 work, you happen to be prolific and Poe is your inspiration, and you've got more work that you feel that you really want for the judges panel to see, you can save some of that to the following year. You just want to choose the piece that's going to phase out of eligibility first. So speaking of eligibility, media, art, performance, and or writing that adapts or is inspired by Poe's life and works. There are no restrictions for medium or genre. We have seen quite a bit of different mediums. We have seen just about every genre you can imagine: comedy, horror, children's books, young adult fiction, all kinds of things, and even the more gothic and macabre that you might expect from a Poe contest. We've seen it all. We've seen beadwork, we've seen paintings, we've seen feature films, this kind of thing. So there is no restriction in this way. The only restriction is eligibility in terms of time. The piece must have been released, printed, distributed, or first performed between January 1, 2019 and December 31, 2021. So those of you out there who've just heard about the awards and you're working to finish your work in time for the portal to close on Monday, I hate to tell you, you got an entire year to get this work out there. No Emily Dickinson's. We don't want anybody, we want the work to have been out in the world, available to be seen by the public, no password restrictions, this kind of thing. Something that was released, printed, distributed, first performed in the previous 3 years of eligibility. If your copyright date is 2022, you're not eligible until next year. Your day will come, but just not this year. Now, if you're just hearing about the awards and you have quite a body of Poe-inspired work, but perhaps nothing in the past 3 years, please know that reprinted, re-released materials are discouraged. The work must have been changed materially, and the judges will determine whether or not you are still eligible if they find, and it's usually pretty easy to find, that the work was released, first performed prior to our period of eligibility. So don't try to fool anybody. Don't try, please, let's, them's the breaks. Now, work may be nominated in more than 1 year of previous nominees. If you are listening and your work did not win, but you were a previous nominee, you may submit your work again, as long as it still falls within this period of eligibility. But a winning entry, if you won, your win is eternal, and you may not enter your piece again in whole or in part. So we will not accept any pieces that, for instance, the script of a feature film entered again for the awards. If it's a previous winner, we will not accept it. So sort of keep that in mind. Because this is our final Q&A, got a little bit more time, I will go over the important things to remember. We try to go over these again and again, but again, we see these mistakes every year. And if I see any of these errors in your entry, we usually give you one chance for a cure. Please understand eligibility. We are looking for completed works that were first released, published, printed, available to be seen by the public at some point in the previous 3 years. That's 2019 to December 31, 2021. Your day will come again if your work is not quite finished. So don't fret. The Saturday Visitor Awards will be here for you again next year. Please provide a working link. If you go into the form, you will find that in order how you submit your work is to send a link to your work for the judges to access. You are required to provide a working link. We will give you one opportunity to fix the link if we find as we're preparing the ballot that the link that you've provided us is not working. So please keep it active, keep it ready, make sure it works before you send it. You'll have one opportunity to fix it. And if it's broken after that, or if it requires a password, you will quietly be disqualified. And ask a friend to help you if you don't know what a URL is, please. Next, please make it easy to view. We understand that artists work in various different programs to create the beautiful pieces that they are bringing to the awards. But please note that your judges may not have After Effects, may not have a Kindle account, that kind of thing. So you want to deliver the file in a format that is universal and can be opened without special programs. So we suggest a PDF, PNGs, JPEGs, those kinds of things that your judge will be able to open even if they don't have the crazy program that this piece was created in. We really do discourage editable files. That means please don't send us a Word document. The reason for that is because invariably we find that the formatting will get wonky. So the judge may not have the font that you used, or may not have the settings from your Word, your computer in their older computer. And invariably the formatting skates around, and that does really ruin the effect. Similar with pages, or similarly with social media links. Even if you are a social media artist, your art is released on Twitter, your art released on Instagram, this kind of thing. We invariably find that social media looks different on different devices. So you want to just assume that that's the case for your judges, and you want to provide a link to something that the judges, that's not going to skate around in terms of formatting. So we assume the judges don't have Photoshop, don't have Instagram, don't have Kindle. You want to give them a file to be a link to the entire piece that they will be able to open without any special help. Using notes to review these one more time. Do use file sharing services like Dropbox or Google Drive. Those are really great. They tend to be reliable, and even Dropbox has a new function where if you've renamed something or moved something around, the link that you've provided will follow the file. So do use file sharing services. Please don't require passwords to open a file. This is pretty insidious when it comes to Google Drive, as handy as Google Drive is. Sometimes your settings might default to requiring a password, or requiring special access, or giving an account special access. Please don't do that. Don't require passwords to open a file. Don't require special permissions. Make that file accessible. The link will not be posted anywhere else. So you just want to, this is a private link for the judges, but don't require passwords to open the file, because it will be difficult for the various judges to get at the file. Please do link directly to the work. You don't want to provide instructions for the judges to have to click around a different parts of a website to get to the piece. Link directly to the work. Please don't use transfer services that expire after 30 days. Stuff like WeTransfer, this kind of thing, very large files. You want to host it on a big, on a service like Dropbox that the judge can actually access rather than have them download this big giant thing. So please don't use transfer services, and I will help you if you're having a little bit of trouble with that. Do package covers or multiple pages into a single file. Zip files are acceptable, and the judge has to click around. That tends to be off-putting. You don't want to know your judge before they even see your piece. So you can package covers and other pages into a single file, make that a PDF. One thing to open. That's very easier. You want a happy judge, no annoyed judges. Why do that to yourself? And please don't go to websites that require $0 purchases. Again, with the like a Kindle account or Amazon one-click, $0. Please don't do this. Link the entire again, I know internet is a little bit wonky, so we'll try to post this information again. But visual elements like book or album covers make a strong even for visual work. So if you have it and you created it for your piece, packaged it together, by all means, you may include that. And that sometimes gives the judges a good sense of your piece, even for musical works, say. So do keep that in mind. That is perfect. You will be asked to create an artist statement, and I love this graphic. It's my favorite graphic. I don't know what that guy with the tongue is doing, but it's very funny. You please try to summarize. This is the time to really share your passion with the judges. It's your time to explain your piece, explain to the judges what they might be missing by not being in the presence of the piece, but brevity, the soul of wit. You really do want to try to keep your comments as compact as possible going on for really long. Certainly your wonderful the judges working for pieces. You want to and you will give your judges a break too as they're looking at your piece. They'll thank you. What else can we share tonight? We do have a series of these videos possible. We're zero in on other topics, other interests. Please go to our YouTube page, Facebook, see the videos that are available to you, the different things that we have got over the last. I'm seeing a little bit of lag again in the internet. Sorry about that, guys. But just a reminder, any genre, any medium. Previous SVA nominated works included short films, feature films, comic books, paintings. Even if you don't see it in this list, we do want to see it. If your work is inspired by Edgar Allan Poe, that work from some pre-Poe places here in the country. Definitely want to be all right. I think we're going to call this having a little bit of trouble getting our visuals out there. So we'll try to post again. I hate that our very last session might be the session we're having a little bit of connectivity trouble. I don't know other places, but I understand that in our area here in Baltimore, there quite an extensive internet outage, and I'm working from a hotspot right now. So sorry about that, guys. I'll try to make sure that this information is up here. But again, contact us here at the Saturday Visitor Awards if you're having any trouble. Visit the website, email us. Totally fine, and I want to see those questions. Finally, if you have a long form entry, like a novel or anything longer than 20 minutes, longer than 10,000 words, you will be asked to provide an excerpt. You still must link to the complete work. The judges are not precluded from seeing your entire piece, but the judges will ask that you provide a timestamp or page numbers for them to jump to the highlighted best 20 minutes, best 10,000 words. Again, if the piece is compelling, they're going to want to see the rest of it. So you still must send the completed work. But for the sake of the judges' sanity, who will be going through a lot of entries this year, quite a few this year, they will go to this highlighted place first, this highlighted excerpt first. So make it your best. I know sometimes that's really tough. If you feel like your first 20 minutes or your first 10,000 words are the best ones, that's totally fine. The judges will default to the first 20 minutes and the first 10,000 words if that is what you say for them to do, and that is totally fine. All right. Again, sorry for this connectivity issues. If there are any questions from anybody, please get a hold of us. This is the last weekend to do so. And again, our portal closes May 30th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. SaturdayVisitorAwards.org is the place to go. If you have any other questions that we haven't answered, you haven't seen what you're looking for, please get a hold of me at contact@poefestinternational.org. Good luck this weekend. I know artists tend to be a last-minute bunch. I am one of you. That's totally fine. But really looking forward to seeing your pieces this year. And good luck, everyone. Have a great weekend. And we will see you in October.